Perfect.
Beautiful. So, do you want to tell me a little bit about the background and what it is that you hope to kind of get out of our little chat today, and we can take it from
Well,
there?
basically, I looked over your script, the script that you had given, well, just the sort of format that you had given Joshua.
Yes.
And so I looked that over, and then I took a script that he had as well, and I kind of created a script out of both of those using your format.
Mm-hmm.
And I gave it to Joshua, and he thought it was really good. So Michelle's still going to look at it, but if you want, I can send it to you and you can have a look. But I'm not really,
Yeah.
I don't really have any concerns about selling. I've done it before.
Okay.
I don't, I try not to use, I try not to look at it as selling. I try to look at it as just building
Best way
relationships,
to do
right?
it. Yeah. Best way to do it.
Yeah. And
Definitely.
then just sharing my experience a lot of time. And one of the advantages I said to Joshua, I think one of the advantages that I have is that I've done all of his programs. So I know, especially selling Come to the Edge, I know that um, I never had a problem with selling that,
Mm-hmm.
just by sharing my experience alone, even,
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's a benefit. I think, probably the biggest thing I have, not that I haven't been able to close people, but that's probably the biggest one for me, is just being able to close everyone. And I know you won't be able to close. I know we can't always necessarily close everyone, but
Mm.
I think closing the most people that I can,
Yes.
bringing them to that place of closing. I think that's where I have the biggest maybe challenge.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when you say that close piece, when you say about that being a challenge, what does that look like for you? Why is that a challenge? Do you want to just tell me a little bit about that so I
Well,
understand?
it's not a challenge getting to that point. Like it's good, and I know where, like, if I've asked a question of them, and such as a question like are you willing to invest in yourself at this time, or something to that, not exactly like that, but something to that
Mm.
effect, right?
Mm.
And they say, well, not really, I don't really have the money, blah, 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 blah. So then at that point, basically it's like, okay, I get it. They don't have the money, so there's not much you can really do if they don't have the money, right? So it's kind of at that point where um, even though I'm offering a discount and stuff, because I would do that, first, I would say, okay, there is a discounted price that I'll share with you. And if you would like to, consider that, that would be great. And then at that point, if they still say that's too much, then I would just basically say, well, maybe this isn't for you,
Mm.
um,
Mm.
at this time, you know. Um, so that would be one scenario. And then another scenario would be basically getting them right to the end where I've given them, I've given them everything. They haven't, they said, yes, I want to invest in myself. I really want to do this, blah, blah, blah. And then you get to that. So you go through the whole process of telling them how much and everything else. And then it's like, I can't, it's just not what I can do at this time. So I think, or they'll say, this is another one, or they'll say, well, let me think about it. Let me think about it, or let me talk to my husband about it, or let me, so I think that's the part. And then most times I would say, okay, but Joshua has said that if they get to that point, where you're into it, he said, because before we would give a bigger discount, but we're not going to give a bigger discount this time because we're already giving a big discount, right?
Yeah.
So, and they've already been told that during the process of the close. So I think that's the biggest thing. What do I say when they say, well, I want to talk to my husband, blah, blah, blah. I can't do this unless I talk to him first. I can't,
Mm. Mm.
and there's no 24 hours. See, before it was like, okay, you have 24 hours. If you don't purchase then no, but but we're not doing that this time. So it's really
Okay.
a cut and dry more than anything now. So I don't
Okay.
know if
And
there's any advice you have for me on that.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there's quite a few bits we can go through. And when it
Okay.
comes to the actual close itself, what does that look like? Do they go to a checkout? You do something with them on the call? What does that look like?
Well, I wouldn't do you when you say do something on the call, do you mean like do
Like
something?
take a payment or process something? How
Yeah,
does that look?
yeah. I would do it right on the phone. I would go to the sales page. And I would have the sales page open anyway, because let's just
Hmm.
say I'm selling Come to the Edge. Then what I would do is I would always have the sales page open before I even went on the phone with them. And
Yeah.
then when it come to that part in the script where I would, basically share a little bit about the program and more of the logistics and that kind of thing, then I have the sales page up there to look at, and that's what I do.
Got
And
it.
then what I would do from there is I would just, if they're signing up, then I would sign them up right on the sales page. I would just get their information right there then, and I would close it right there.
Got it.
And that
Got
was
it.
the most effective way
Okay.
of
Okay.
of completely closing it.
Yes. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll share with you the kind of process that I run through, and some of this you will have seen because a lot of it will overlap with the stuff that Joshua and I have already talked about.
Yep.
And we'll talk about the actual close piece as well. I think well, two important things, I guess, really, Vera. The first one you've already touched on, and that is that you're not actually selling. So the best sales in the world aren't actually selling. They
Right.
are genuinely providing help
Yeah.
and value and a
Yeah.
solution to a problem that somebody has. And
Yeah.
so if you just extend that to the close, it's not about, hey, do you want to buy this? No. Well, why not? It's not about that then. It's just hey, Vera, I know that you're in pain with X, and this will really help you to get to Y.
Yeah.
Is this something that you're ready to commit to? Are you ready to make that commitment to yourself? And so Marsha's coming in, I'll just admit it. And
Okay.
so I think if you have that focus with this as being a very much an extension of what you do in the call leading up to the close, where
Yeah.
you just literally discover and find out about them and what they're looking to achieve and where they're looking to get to.
Yeah.
And then this just becomes a very natural extension of that. Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
Yeah. It does.
That's the first bit. Hey, Marsha.
Hey, Marsha.
Hey, and so that's the first part of this. And then the second part is you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink, right?
Right.
So extended to that fact of you offering them help, it's up to them to drink. So yes, we can guide them and we can say, hey, the water's there. Do you want to take a sip?
Yeah.
They've got to bend their necks and drink from the trough, right? They've got to do that. And so that's quite empowering for you if you think about it, because what that allows you to do is to really be in this energy and this place of surety and certainty about how this product, this program, this service, whatever it is, can really, really help them.
Mm-hmm.
It can quench their thirst, if you like.
Yeah.
But you almost have to detach yourself from the outcome. And it's okay if they don't drink, because that's their choice, not yours at the end of the day, right? That's their decision, and that's fine. So we'd be like, hey, Vera, I respect your what you're saying to me there, and I hear you, and it's more of an invitation for them to take a drink rather than, hey, take a drink. Do you see the difference?
Yeah.
And
I do.
so with that's like a natural extension of the whole serving rather than selling approach.
Yes.
Because it genuinely is for their benefit.
Mm-hmm.
And so and it's no wonder that when you tell stories and experiences, it's that clinches the sale, right? Because people connect with that, because that's authentic.
Yeah.
And so it's just taking that authenticity and extending it to the bit that might feel a little bit icky, a little bit, we don't like that bit, but it's just hey, this thing will help you get to X. Here's how to do that. Is that something that you want to proceed with? And so I guess having a question for them at that point would be helpful. You know, are you willing to give it a try? Are you really looking for the answers? And so one of the first things I do is to ask about what they're looking to achieve, what outcome they're looking for.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
that encourages them to future pace and paint a picture of what that outcome looks like for them. And so at the very end, you're able to circle back around and say, well, how much, you've just told me that you really desperately want to get to X. How much do you want that? Are you willing to do what's necessary to get to that? This is the solution for you. I know through experience, through this, through that, through the other, that this can help you to get there. And leave it open to them to answer the question and take that drink, rather than any kind of, there's no pushiness then. It's just gentle. Here's the pathway. There's an invitation for you to go down that pathway, and it's the solution to the problem that you've outlined to me. So it's just, it becomes a natural progression without any need for, any need for any corralling or being firm unnecessarily. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally.
Okay.
Totally makes sense.
Hey Marsha, how are you?
I'm good, Colin. How are you?
Wonderful. Yeah, good to see you again. Good to see you again. So we're just running through the sales process with Vera. We were just talking about the close. We've got a recording so you can track back if you need to check what we've talked about so far.
Okay, good.
And then I was going to just go through my process just to give you an overview of that. And then if you've got any questions, we can run through that. Does that sound okay?
Yep, sounds perfect.
Okay, beautiful. So let me bring my iPad screen up. Just give me a second. This is a real rough and ready script, what I use, or prompt, if you like, that I use for my calls. And I can share this with you if it'll be helpful. Can you see that okay?
Yeah.
Yep.
So there's literally 5 steps. The first step is, what are they looking to achieve? So you're trying to find out what they're looking to get. What's their, this is in the context of my coaching, right? But the content, you can use it in many different scenarios. What are they looking to achieve? What's their desire? What's their desired outcome or their desired state? And when people tell you about what that desired state is, if you match what you're selling to that desired state, they're more likely to take that step without you pushing and pressing, because they have sold themselves. Oh, I really want to achieve X, right? I really want to achieve X. I really want to be this type of person. I really want to be this. I really want this. And you ask them to, well, imagine what that would like, what that would be like for you. What would that feel like? What would it feel like for you to be that person, to be that, to achieve X, to do that? So the first step is, what is that dream outcome? It's simpler than it looks on this page, trust me. What's the dream outcome? What's holding them back from getting to the dream outcome? So what's the obstacle? Why aren't you X right now? Why haven't you gotten to X right now? What's stopping you from getting to that? And so this is where you see what they see as the problem. Oh, I've not had the tools. I've not had the time. I've not had the money. I've not had whatever it is. And you hear all of these things. And then you just link that into the future pacing piece. So if we're able to get you to the point of X, what would that feel like? What would it feel like to you to wake up every day right now being X, or having X, or experiencing X? And so you're triggering in NLP, you're triggering this imagination part of the brain, right? So they're really in that place, and they've got that solution now, even though they've not got it yet. They're just picturing what that solution would feel like. They explain it to you. And then what's important in this, and this is a nuance, is that you reflect back at them the phrases that they use, not like a robotic kind of, oh you said blah 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 blah, like not in that kind of a way, a mechanical way, but very much just the kind of a couple of words or a phrase or something that you pick up on them. If they describe the obstacle as spinning their tires in the mud, for example, right? I just feel like I'm spinning my tires in the mud. I don't know what to do and when to do it. So if we then say, look, so if we could together get you out of this this place of being stuck where you're just spinning your tires in the mud, what would that feel like for you? So just reflecting back their words. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
That's quite an advanced, like nuanced kind of thing of this whole how this process works, but it's important because when you reflect back their words, so yes, it does, as you've just said to me there, by me reflecting those words back, you feel heard and understood in the communication process. And it's that builds more trust, and obviously then is going to lead to a better outcome of you helping them. And it's not of you selling, remember, because that's not, yes, we're selling, but actually, no, we're helping. And the selling is a byproduct of helping. The exchange of money is secondary to the exchange of value in all of this. Okay?
Yep.
That's the difference between sleazy selling and actually helping people with selling. That's all. That's the difference. That's what we're doing here, is we're using selling to help people.
Yeah.
And it just so happens that we transact money for that help to happen, right? For that value to change. So then the final part is just to really, really understand and figure out how important it is to them. So I just asked the question of that dream state that they've just painted to me, using their words, this dream state of being in X and feeling blissfully Y or whatever that might be. How important is it for you to get there right now? How important is it? So what's happening here psychologically, they are reaffirming the need to do this now, which is more likely for them then to close at the end, because they've painted the outcome, they've talked through the obstacle, they've experienced already the imagining of what life will be like at the end of all of this. And now you're just consolidating all of that and making them really feel like, typically people will say either 9, 10 or 11, right? It's a 12, right? 1 to 10, 12. So they're desperate to know how to get to that outcome. And so this is where you've really done the groundwork then for the bit that we talked about, the invitation, the all important invitation. So I don't like the word close. In fact, I'm going to scrub it off here, and I'm going to change it to invitation.
Yeah.
Because it is an invitation. I'm not going to use the word close anymore, because it is an invitation for them to take those steps to get them to that outcome that they've painted to you at the beginning. No pressure from you, no pressure on them. It's just that they've affirmed it. They've affirmed the importance of it to them. Do you want to do that? There's the steps. This program, this service, this thing that we've got for you right now will get you to this place. They will allow you to overcome this thing that's holding you back. They will allow you to realize this life of being X, of having Y. Are you ready to take that step? You know, are you ready to make that commitment?
Yeah, I like that better. I like the invitation part better.
Me too.
Yeah.
Me too. I've changed that. That'll
Energy
always be invitation now. Yeah, I like that. Because I hate selling as well. I'm not a salesman. I don't like selling.
No.
I like helping and serving.
Yes.
If something doesn't serve somebody, there's no way on earth I would take their money for it.
No, and you don't want them to, really. You don't want them to buy something
No.
serve them.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. So the invitation, I think, is good, and that takes pressure off you as well. So you're more comfortable.
Yeah, I was just going to say that. That takes a lot of pressure off the person that's doing this too, because for me, even I just felt a relief just when we changed that. It was like, wow. So different.
yeah. But if you think about it, it makes sense, because
it does.
Energetically, people feel and sense what you're all about and the authenticity of that. And so when we get into a place where we feel uncomfortable and we feel a little bit, that comes across on an energetic level, on an emotional level. and people perceive that even though they can't hear it in your words. They
Yeah.
feel it in your body, in the
Yeah.
way that you hold yourself and the way that you speak, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And the key to that is believing in what you're offering them.
Yes.
Oh, absolutely.
When-
Yeah, that's the anchor point of all of authenticity, isn't it, Marsha?
Yeah, that's what you have to hold on to whenever you start to feel like, I don't want to have this conversation of sales. You have to start thinking about, well, I believe in what I'm giving them. So really, I'm offering them a solution. I'm not offering them a sale.
Yeah.
They do have to pay for it, but that's a byproduct of
Yeah.
them getting what they need.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly.
Absolutely. So, and that runs through every element of this, that them getting what they need. So see what I did there, Marsha? I reflected your words back.
Yeah.
Hey, see. But it's so true. It's so true. It's so true. And it just goes through all of this. It permeates all of this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's the process. There's no rocket science to it. It's not overly complicated. In fact, when I go in a call now, I don't even use this now. This was just my framework. So I just, in my head, I know I want to talk about the outcome, the obstacle, the difference, the importance. And now, from today onwards, it will be the invitation, not the close, in my head that springs up.
Mm.
So you just use this as your guide. You don't have an actual script that you follow or anything. You do this, or other questions that you ask them. No. Okay.
No, because what I'll tend to do is I'll go contextual. So I'll start with outcome, and then based on what they give me in the outcome, I will kind of guide my way through the others. Do you know what I mean? So if they talk about something, well, whatever they talk about, I will use that context for the rest of the conversation, and I will always bring it back to that, so that it's kind of like the reflection principle on steroids, right? So it's them guiding the conversation, so the decision is entirely theirs, and which it is at the end of the day. It's not ours to make, but it's allowing them to realize that in the conversation for themselves. So I guess the other nuance, the other vital piece in all of this is that right there.
Yeah.
Silence.
Yeah.
Pause. Because if I say, hey, Vera, what are you looking to achieve? Are you looking to do X, and are you looking to do this? And how about if we do this for you, and we can do this for you, and we've got this thing that really allows you to do X, Y, and Z, and all of this and all of that. Then we are in that like selling mode of trying to be all about us and not about them. And really, it's just about being present in the moment and allowing them the space to speak and be heard. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
So if you give them that space for that to happen, and they are heard genuinely, all of the selling, there's no selling. There is no selling. There just isn't. It's just a natural, organic conversation.
Yeah.
Around how you can help.
Yeah.
I was going to say that you're actually making it into a conversation instead of a sales pitch.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
Because
that's great.
if people feel like they're being heard rather than you're just all about pushing whatever it is you're pushing, they're more likely to listen back to you once you listen to them.
Absolutely. 100% right. 100% right.
And once
Like
they
you said-
know you're listening to them.
Mm.
Yeah.
What you're saying makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. So Colin, do you go into the part of, I mean, I'm sure you explain what you do, right? When in this do you explain your offer, like so for example, if it was the Come to the Edge program, going through and explaining that part to them, the logistics, all that. When do you do that within this particular outline? And also, when or do you share anything about yourself?
Oh, great questions. Great questions. So in terms of going through the outline, I would do it down here. at the invitation stage, but I would ask them for permission for this. So can I talk to you about can I show you how, and we fill in the blank then. Would you like me to show you how we can help you to get to X? So it's always about them and not about us telling us what we do. Okay. That's where I would talk about that piece.
Okay.
And then when it comes to talking about me or us or our things and what we've done and all of that, I would only ever do that if I've either been asked a direct question or if it's contextually relevant to the conversation. So, we've just talked about the organic conversation that's led by them. If maybe we've got a case study or we've got somebody that's been through something similar, like you talked about sharing your experiences, Vera.
Yes.
Then that could be a great way of sharing rather than, because the difference is you're not sharing about you, you're sharing to help them.
Yeah.
So the experience directly helps them rather than, okay, so we are X and we've done Y and we've done Z and we've done all of that. Because that's kind of irrelevant to them. They don't care about any of that. They just care about how this can help them to be a better person, how this can help them to achieve X, whatever X is for them. Make sense?
Yeah, totally.
Does that answer both of the questions?
Yeah. Okay.
Wonderful.
So basically then it's just really when you're giving them the solution is when you're going to go through the program with them and share some things about it. And then unless the opportunity comes up for, if they ask you a question about yourself or like, how long have you been doing this or whatever, or what have you done, that kind of thing. Then other than that, you don't go into any details. Okay, I get it.
Only when it's contextually relevant.
Yeah. And I think back of when I was doing this before, and I just basically, if when I was sharing about my experience, that's when it might have come up that I've been with Joshua for so long and I've experienced so many of his classes and that kind of thing. So it'd be more like that, as opposed to, sharing something, like I've been coaching for this many years and blah, 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 and that kind of thing. Right.
And that's why it's been so good for you in terms of connecting with the people that you've been speaking to, because you're using it in the right context.
Okay, good.
Yeah. So that's wonderful stuff. That's wonderful stuff. When it's contextually relevant, if it's just you talking about you, then obviously nobody wants to hear that, right? When it's in this context.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Wonderful.
Beautiful. Hope that's helpful. Do you have any more questions?
It's very helpful. And it's very simple. I'm going to go back through the script I did, because like I said, I took this and I took the one that Joshua used and I sort of compiled a script. But I'm going to go back through it now after going through this with you. And I'm just going to see where I can maybe tweak it a little bit. Because I think, for one thing, I think it might be a little bit over the top in regards to the length and that kind of thing of it. So, I mean, there's a lot more questions in there that I could ask, but I think, I'm just going to go back and see. Now that I've heard your version of this, I'm going to just go back and just see if there's anything I need to tweak. Definitely taking that part out that was in Joshua's where you talk about yourself there for a little bit. It's sort of your position, right? I will take that out for sure.
Yeah. It may be relevant. It may be relevant at the head of the conversation to introduce yourself very briefly or to give them some context but only when it's contextual again, only when it's relevant to the context.
Yeah.
And so with the questions, you can have a big bank of questions if it gives you comfort to know that they're there if you need them. If they're like a comfort blanket to you ahead of the call, then you've got them there on your page in front of you should you need them. But you very much want to make the conversation organic and
Yeah.
not feel scripted in any way. So it's just
Yeah.
a general conversation about how we can serve and help you. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
And
that's what it is.
I'm not one to follow a script to the T anyway. I feel it's really inauthentic in a sense that I want it to be as authentic of a conversation as possible. And I don't feel, sometimes I think when you have a script, it's like you're sort of making sure you're focused on more on the script than you are on the person. And so I think it takes away from the conversation a lot. So,
Absolutely.
I'll have it, but the chances of me really using it are going to be pretty slim. I might refer to it, but this is such a simple, easy way of doing it that I really like that process. So yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah, it's great.
Wonderful. Hope that's been helpful.
Thank you for going through it like that, because I was just reading it on my own, right? So, and I mean, I got the gist of it, but just listening to you and just sort of getting that sense of how you actually take that and use it when you're working with clients, that was very effective.
Awesome. Marcia, did you have something to say?
I was just going to ask, can you send us that slide that you had?
Of course. Yes. Let me do that. I will send that to you.
I have that, Marcia.
Oh, you have it?
Yeah. The one with all the outcome and everything on it?
Yes.
Yeah. I have that.
You've got that?
Yeah.
Okay, so are you able to share that with Marcia? But make sure you change the word close to invitation before you do, Vera.
Yeah, Joshua sent it.
That's the new word now.
He took a screenshot and sent it to me, so I have it.
Okay.
I'll send you the screenshot, Marcia.
Wonderful. And would you mind sharing the recording with me as well?
Not at all.
That would be great, because I forgot to hit the record button from my end. And with your permission, I'd like to share. I think that's been a great little training session. I think I'd like to share that with my clients, my little community of clients. Would you be okay with that?
Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you. Okay, great. So listen, if you have any questions, you need anything else, give me a shout.
Okay,
great.
Thank you so much, Colin.
Absolute pleasure, guys. Absolute pleasure. Have a wonderful day, and I'll speak to you soon.
Okay.
Thanks, Colin.
All the best. Bye.
Yeah.
Bye.